Okay folks, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about how chess has all these traps for white side, but we never see traps for black side. So, here we go. Standard chess openings. You ever see this happen where somebody opens up with a queen pawn? There's a nice little trap you can do from black side. It's kind of lengthy and it's a little tricky, but we can show you how that's done. So we match up queen pawn to queen pawn. And then this is a very common response, is this. The reason people do that is because if you take this pawn, then this pawn follows up and the bishop is let loose to take that pawn. So white actually dominates the center, is already attacking that pawn, and you spend half of your game defending it. So we're going to do something different. We're going to do this. Now what this shows is that this pawn here is not protected by anything. This pawn can just take it. The king doesn't do anything against it, so it's a free pawn. But that's kind of how this trap is set. So what happens is they take the pawn like this, and instead of recapturing this way, which would let queen and queen face off, you push this pawn up. Okay? Now this, knowing that you're up by a pawn for white, you start wanting to trade down. It's kind of a natural instinct. So they usually will start doing stuff like this, which is fine for you because what you're going to do is take your bishop, come out here with check. Okay, now your bishop's got the king in check. There's lots of ways to get in the way. You can move out a king, put the knight in the way. A lot of people at this point, since you're already up with a pawn, they'll interpose the bishop like that. So, if you do a trade and they're still ahead, they're still doing fine. So you're like, great, no problem. So then this pawn triggers the attack. Now when you do this, you're attacking the bishop. So white needs to deal with this. Okay? You can't just move the bishop because now this bishop's got you trapped to the king. So the most logical thing you can do is just take the bishop. Free bishop. Now look, you're up. Pawn, bishop against a pawn. And the queens are facing off. So now it looks like black's in a lot of trouble, but this is actually all part of black's plan. So black will take this little pawn that's hanging up here and snag that guy. Now he's got him in check. Nothing's protecting it. But that doesn't matter because the king is the only thing protecting the queen, and the queens are faced off. So the king can't just run away from the queen by taking it. So the king actually just has to move up. And that's really the only thing that white can do. Because then he protects the queen. Otherwise your queen would just take his queen, game would be pretty much over. So then this pawn takes this knight, but you promote to a knight. And it's all about timing this way. See, now the timing says that the knight has you in check and you must deal with this. And this is the whole point of this opening. The whole point of this trap is about timing. So the knight has you in check and you must deal with check first. And you could just move out of the way, but the simple way to do that is just to take it. So you just take it, and that's fine because this whole trap was to get that king onto E2. Its whole point is to do that so that this bishop can now trigger the trap with check, and everything behind that king is dead. So as soon as this king moves, doesn't matter where he goes, queen dies. And the queen backs it up. So it doesn't matter where this king goes, it doesn't matter what you do with him, this queen dies with backup. So if you just move over, move down or whatever, the queen just goes down here and snags it. And now all that material you were behind, this is the material now. You lost a bishop for a knight, you gained their queen, 2 pawns are equaled up. So you're actually up the big dog, and white's in a really shitty spot. So white has to come out here. Pretty much over from there. You can do whatever you want from that point. This is a total winning position. There's almost nothing that's going to stop you. I mean, unless you really flub, this is a game. This is game. So that's why we play.